Hi everybody and welcome to week 2. I hope you enjoyed the week 1 content and activities and are ready to kind of move forward in our understanding of organizations. Last week we covered what the organizational landscape is, what an organization is, as well as how it fits within the context of its environment when we looked at systems theory. What we're going to look at this week is traditional paradigms of management and then what it means to be a postmodern organization today. So for this week, you have a lesson that I've prepared for you to watch, but then you also have what's called an interactive lesson, and that's a lesson that you create on your own. You are allowed to work in partners for the interactive lesson. There's directions in the folder, but I'll just briefly go over that with you. It requires you to create your own presentation and then share it with me, and I'll in turn take a little bit from everybody's presentations, make a different one, and then share it with the class so that you all have a general understanding of the content for that activity with my commentary over it, so that you can go back and listen to it for your own, just for your own personal knowledge, as well as when you go to write your final paper. And like I said in the syllabus, all of these interactive lessons are great ways to get a head start on your final paper, because what you use for the interactive lesson, you can just kind of transition from an oral presentation into written word and then use that in your final paper. So to that end, because you are allowed to partner on the interactive lesson, I would recommend partnering with someone who you plan to work on the final paper with, and you can use your organization that you created last week when you prepare for your final paper. So anyway, going back to the directions for the interactive lesson, it's designed to provide insight into the evolution of organizational perspectives and how organizations use communication to get things done in the organization from 4 different perspectives, and these are covered in your reading. That's scientific management, human relations, human resources, and contingency theories. So what I want you to do, and these will all sound much more familiar after you do the reading, after you do the reading, I want you to think of the 10 to 15 most important words. If somebody said to you, describe scientific management to me in 10 to 15 words, what words would you choose? I want you to write those words on the slide. You can use visuals if you want as well, and then narrate the slide so that you're telling us what those words mean in the context of the paradigm and why you chose them, why you thought they were important. So each slide will probably, again, have the 10 to 15 words and have maybe like 4 minutes or so of narration, so that you're coming up with like a solid lesson and a solid application of each of those paradigms. Now you can use PowerPoint, you can use Prezi, you can use anything that you can narrate. And then what I want you to do is not upload it into the Dropbox, but to upload it to a file sharing site, either Google Drive or the file sharing site called Dropbox, or I don't know if you know this, but you have your own space on Penn State servers so that you don't have to sign up for anything else. You can stay through Penn State with your own Penn State login, and then once you've uploaded it, share that link with me, much like I do for the lessons that you see in this class. I will email you directions on how to access your Penn State server space, but if it doesn't make sense to you or you don't want to get involved with that, you can always use Google Drive and or the file sharing site Dropbox, which are free. So that's your interactive lesson for this week. Oddly enough, the interactive lesson chronologically comes before the lesson that I have prepared. So in real life, in time, scientific management, human resources, human relations, all of those paradigms kind of evolved over the last 100 or 150 years into where we are today. And then the lesson that I've prepared picks up with where organizations are today and where they're moving on into the future. However, if you view the lesson that I've prepared first and then do the interactive lesson, you'll still be fine. Your other activity for this week is a case study called Stealing Away to a Different Structure. And that goes hand in hand with the lesson that I have prepared for this week. So I definitely recommend doing your reading and watching the lesson that I have prepared before you do the Stealing Away to a Different Structure activity. It asks you, there are some basic questions supplied for you after you read through the case study scenario. I just ask that you answer them. I give you a approximate length. I think it's a paragraph each, but you'll have to recheck the directions that are in the activity folder, and just answer the questions to the best of your knowledge using information from the book and or the lesson. And both the interactive lesson and the Stealing Away to a Different Structure case study activity are due Sunday by midnight. The quiz, of course, is open now, and that is due Wednesday the 3rd by midnight. I think that basically covers everything. This is our last week where we're taking a broad overview of what is an organization, what does it mean, how are we using communication in a very macro level or overall level view. And then next week we're going to really start to look at more specific topics like technology, globalization, networks, and then we'll move on to culture and diversity and leadership. So these lessons are setting the stage for an overall view of organizational communication. And then the next 3 weeks after this, or 4 weeks, will be spent taking a more micro level or more detail-oriented view at different functions in the organization and how we use communication with those. So if you have any questions as you're moving through the week, please feel free to use the Ask Your Instructor or each other discussion forum and or send me an email. You'll also notice that in the resources section, any announcements that I feel you all need to share, I put there, so you can always check there as well. So I hope you're having a great week, and feel free to reach out to me. I'll talk to you soon.